If you've ever turned on a radio, chances are you have heard hit songs by my next guest, Desmond Child. Welcome to the Sami Cone Show.
Oh, it's so great to be here, Sami.
I am thrilled to have you. I say songwriting, I mean, we're going to talk about that, but you have a new book called Livin on a Prayer, Big Songs, Big Life, and it just happens to be in the inside of the book a little song called Livin on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. That's just one of, I mean, like over 80 hits, I feel like.
80 top 40 and many like number ones.
Many, yeah.
Many.
And I mean, if you,
and
just reading,
500 million records sold.
it's incredible.
And
Isn't
billions streamed. What do you think about that?
Well, I was just gonna. What do you think about that? Like how
It's so
that just rolled
awesome.
off your tongue. But could you ever have imagined that? Because again, we'll talk about the book in a second. But you have not had the most conventional or easiest of upbringings. So as a child, could you ever imagine that you would be sitting on a stage saying numbers like that?
My mother was a songwriter. Her name was Elena Casals. People knew her as La Musa. And she had magical thinking. I mean, she was kind of like Blanche DuBois meets Angelica Houston of the Grifters. She had like 10 businesses in her trunk.
Wow.
You know, an alias for every business. I mean, she always said we were going to make it big, you know, and so we did. And I was able to get us out of the projects in Liberty City, you know, where they shot Moonlight. That's where I grew up.
Amazing.
And was able to buy 4 mansions on Miami Beach, and I gave her one of them.
Wow. How did that, I mean, when you look at the names, even just that are, you know, that have done some of the dedications and the, you know, in the front of the book here, you've got Alice Cooper, Cher, speaking of Moonlight, you know, Bon Jovi, Joan Jett, Steven Tyler, Diane Warren. I mean, where does that inspiration then come from? Because it's one thing to say, I'm going to be a success, I'm going to be a hit, but then to be able to not only create it once, but replicate it as many times as you did.
Well, it's what we call the hustle. You know, in the book, it's the hustle.
Yes.
And the thing is, you have to have, you know, everyone says you have to have like equal parts talent and hustle. You have to have way more hustle than talent.
Interesting.
As proven by many stars that made it.
Sure.
That may not be so talented. But the thing is that you just can't give up. And I just had it in my mind that I was going to take care of my mother and that she would live like a queen till the end of her life. And so that was the motivation for me. So no matter, you know, how many disappointments, the great thing about songwriting is you wake up in the morning, you start your career all over again from scratch. Nothing you did before matters.
Yeah.
It almost works against you. Oh yeah, that Desmond Child has had so many hits, you know, 6 decades of hits. What could he possibly contribute now?
Sure.
And I've proven it over and over again that you just stay with it and stay, you know, not like as Dolly Parton says, an active participant in the music business, in the entertainment business.
I believe it.
And, you know, Clive Davis is my idol. He's going to be 92 this year, and he's working as hard as he ever did. And so that's me.
Well, speaking of, you have a new book that we keep talking about.
Yeah.
There's a lot in this book. And I mean, not just in terms of the stories, but the pictures alone are incredible. I mean, I love poems. You've written poetry in here. Why this and why now?
Well, my husband and I moved to Nashville with our sons when they were toddlers, and they we loved Nashville, and so they ended up going to Ensworth, and they're at NYU now in their senior year. And it was one of those things where I said, you know, all they know about me is that I'm daddy with the open checkbook. You know, and I wanted them to get to know the real me. So that was my motivation. But it ended up being, it took 7 years, like a 7-year jailhouse confession.
I'm
like
sure.
a real reckoning of all the things that, you know, I had rewritten in my mind, you know, in a positive way that maybe wasn't the truth. And so, you know, my collaborator, David Ritz, he just got down to the bottom of everything. And so it was a real experience that, you know, I just feel renewed, actually. Because I don't have to keep all of that inside of me anymore. It's in the book.
I'm
for all the world to see.
I'm so proud of you. We have to wrap up. I just have to ask really quick, can you pick a favorite song, or is that like asking you to pick a favorite child?
Well, I think one of my favorite songs, of course, is Livin' on a Prayer,
Yeah.
because it's more than a song. It's an event wherever it's played. And my sons, Roman and Nero, went to Kid Rock's, and there are like 5 different levels.
Right.
And they did a prank with their high school buddies and had them play Livin' on a Prayer on every floor
That's hilarious.
at the same time.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Well,
So-
there's so many stories we could talk about.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to talk about Ricky Martin, but that's okay. You'll have to read it in the book, Desmond Child. Livin' on a Prayer, Big Songs, Big Life. Make sure you pick it up. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.